Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I'll be reviewing The Wisdom of Crowds by James, I believe the last name is pronounced Surowiecki. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into an overview of what the book is about, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I'll be reading for next time. James Surowiecki was a staff writer at the New Yorker, I believe. He's also done work for the Motley Fool and for the Huffington Post. He wrote this book in 2005, published in 2005, and what The Wisdom of Crowds is about is the premise that if you are able to aggregate data, the data oftentimes aggregated will be better than even expert opinions on that topic. He sets forward some criteria where this needs to be true for it to work. He has a really evocative opening antidote about I guess it would be a livestock auction, I believe it was, where the crowd was guessing how much a certain heifer weighed, and they were able to, using the average of the crowd, come to almost the identical weight of what it really weighed. And so I thought that was an interesting premise for the book. He also has a couple of really evocative examples in the book. He talks about comparing organizational structures to certain gangster movies. I thought that was pretty interesting, of different ways that you can organize teams. You can have kind of a top-down approach. You can have a one-off. You can have decentralized teams working on specific things. And so I thought that was really good. I liked he had an example in the book about the reaction to I believe it was the Columbia disaster, that I thought was good. I thought that the part about the stock market was really interesting. He says some things that sound really obvious, but I think took me a minute to pause and really take in the information he was talking about. So I enjoyed those sections. I think if I was to ding the book at all, I think the book is a little, paint by numbers is maybe not the best way to say it, but the examples he uses, and again, this book came out in 2005, some of them came off as a little dated. He talks about Facebook. He talks a little bit about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So some of these things didn't work particularly great. I think the other part of it is these are somewhat easy examples to pull out to prove his theory. And I think that James is not as skilled of a writer as someone like Malcolm Gladwell is, which this book is, to me, kind of clearly in that vein, or even the guys from Freakonomics, whose names escape me at the moment, but Dubner and Levitt, I think is the other gentleman's name. He's just not as good of a writer as those guys, and so his examples, while fine and while I think they work, aren't as evocative in the writing, especially compared to someone like Gladwell. And so I felt this came off as kind of a lesser work when compared to those things. And I think I read online some criticism of his work. Some of it seems kind of unfair. I think he does do a good job of outlining when his model makes sense, when it works, and when there are examples where it doesn't work as well. And I think he lays those out pretty clearly in the book. So I thought overall it was interesting, and I think that there were some good examples in the book for what he's talking about. But as far as the writing itself, it kind of left a little bit to be desired. Some of the examples left a little to be desired. So that is The Wisdom of Crowds. If you are someone who likes Malcolm Gladwell and you're someone who likes Freakonomics, we could probably list several of those type of books. But if you like those books, I think that there's something in here for you. I don't know how much application is in this for a lot of people. I think it does a good job of making you really think about how your organization may be structured and maybe the pros and cons of different structuring of how your teams work. I thought that was really interesting. But I don't know, as far as like application today, how far some of this stuff will go. So that is The Wisdom of Crowds. Next time I will be reading Kevin Wilson's novel on audiobook, Nothing to See Here. Until next time, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't checked me out on Twitter, I'm there. I'll leave my Twitter link handle below. So until next time, bye.